And now, CL 650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
Welcome to Experts on Call. I'm Joanne Sutton. Our theme on the show today is preparing for winter. And of course, we're talking about insurance with our resident experts from Intact Insurance, Canada's largest home, auto, and business insurance company. So here on the West Coast, we went through an extremely long, hot, dry, excellent summer. And when the rains came by early September, well, they came on in full force. Only a couple of weeks ago, we had that weekend blast of a very windy, wet weather. I think the storm hit in the weekend, like the Labor Day weekend around September 5th. And it just cut a path right across the province. It left behind mudslides in the Pemberton area, province-wide power outages. I'm not sure if anybody was actually prepared for this. We know that the wet weather is going to be with us now for a while. So today we would like to focus on how to better prepare ourselves for a West Coast winter. This is Experts on Call. We're talking about insurance, and joining us in the studio today from Intact Insurance is Patrick Magnuson, along with Keith Story and Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. So all three gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joanne.
You're no strangers. You've all been here before. So Patrick, can we just start with you and tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, Joanne, Patrick Magnuson. I'm a director with Intact Insurance in the personal lines underwriting side. So basically what I do is I help develop the product and the pricing for our insurance customers. I've been with Intact for just over 18 years now, and seems to be something new and enjoyable every day, especially with the changing weather patterns and the differences in our winters and our long, hot, dry summers now.
And Keith Story?
I'm a property technical claims consultant. I get involved with claims and help our claims team adjust claims just as a part of the overall claims process.
Andrew Tablotny.
I'm been a broker for 35 years. I purchased my brokerage here in Richmond about 25 years ago. It's a family-run business. My wife and my two sons work with me. So anytime you come in, or phone in, there's always a familiar voice and our face to meet. And my wife and I, we continue to be very active in the community, and we really enjoy the insurance business. It's a great people business.
Patrick, tell us a little bit about Intact Insurance.
Well, Intact is the largest insurance company in Canada. We provide protection for what matters most, and certainly what we're talking about now is personal lines insurance. So that's your home and your car, but we also do businesses and your commercial and your liability. And really what happens is we know that the insurance product is really the claim service, and we want to get you back to your normal life, and we can help you do that should the unforeseen and unfortunate happen. Insurance claims, they're not a bad thing. They happen. That's what we're there for, and we pride ourselves in our claim service and how we handle that, and basically how we can get people back to where they were before the incident happened. And
you promise to do this quickly and efficiently. Don't you have a promise that you make to your customers?
We certainly do. Keith, you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start your claim within 30 minutes, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. That's what I like to hear. So we're going to talk about the specifics of winter weather and winter weather-related claims. But first, in general, who wants to reiterate the facts of why insurance is so vitally important? Maybe Andrew, did you want to speak to that?
Well, insurance it's part of your financial planning. You buy life insurance, you buy disability insurance, you have group insurance. It's just another component of your life that you need to have covered. And your property insurance covers you for those unexpected things that occur in your life. You never want to have to claim it. You never want to have to deal with it if you don't have to. But it's nice to know that you've got that protection there, so that when the unforeseen does happen, that you're going to end up back in where you were before the claim occurred.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's already looking over your shoulder.
That's right. For most of us, our houses are the one biggest asset that we own, we have, and so obviously to protect that. For really, when you look at what the premium is versus what you're really getting, the value of the home, and as well as your liability coverage.
So just quickly, what can you offer when people say that insurance is too expensive for them, or they simply can't afford it?
Can you afford to do without it in the event that something happens? Can you replace everything in your home? Can you replace your home? Can you carry that financial burden?
Can you afford to pay the lawyers for the person that slipped and fell on your driveway?
All very good points.
Mm-hmm. But certainly, I mean, if premium is an issue for you, I would think that the most important thing you could do is talk to your broker and find the insurance that is right for you, and the one that has the best coverage that fits you, the best. Make sure you're getting all the different discounts and premium credits that you can receive, and that best way to do that is to have that conversation with your broker and have that frank discussion.
So all three experts are here today to represent the insurance industry, and let's talk about a West Coast winter. What would some of the most common insurance claims be at this time of year?
Certainly going to be water. Now, water continues to be the most common claim that we deal with. That can be in the winter, from burst pipes. It can be from ice damming with water accumulating on your roof. It flows down, it freezes, it thaws, it freezes, and then suddenly you've got a dam of ice, and then the water can't go any further.
And you may not even be aware of it.
And you might not even be aware of it until all of a sudden you've got that stain on your ceiling. Those are some of the more common ones. Of course, fire. We're turning on the heat. We're turning on the space heaters. We've got fireplaces that are going, especially as we get into the Christmas time. We've got
all the decorations,
Christmas lights, Christmas trees,
extension cords, fancy little decorations. Yeah,
absolutely.
Other ones that are common are, when we're talking about water, is foundation leaks. Your drain tiles aren't properly cleaned, so therefore they back up and end up coming in through cracks in the foundation. So
this is a great point. How would you know if you had a leak in your foundation?
Well, when you got a puddle of water on your carpet in the corner of your room.
Yeah.
So
or a soggy front yard, or
well, but it's your responsibility to make sure that you get those checked every once in a while. There's companies out there for a very minimal cost will go through and either look at them and or clean them for you. So another one that you're talking about the wind, we saw it, falling trees.
Oh.
It
was devastating here in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, be aware of what trees you do have on your property, and not only yours, but your neighbor's property, because a lot of people think, oh, well, if my neighbor's tree falls on it, he's going to pay for it. Well, that isn't the way it works. You are responsible for the tree that falls on your property. So
even if the neighbor's tree fell down on your house or your car, it's your problem, not theirs.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. So now, if you suspect that the tree is an issue, you can see that it's got hard-hitting needles on it, and it's may well be dying. You can certainly tell your neighbor that he needs to have it looked at, and if he refuses, then I usually suggest to clients, I've had to do this on a number of occasions, send them a registered letter and saying that that this tree is a potential hazard, and if anything happens, that you'll be held liable. So put the ball back in their court. Mm-hmm.
When I moved into my new house, not new house, my older home, but my new old house.
Your newer old house, yes.
We had, I live in Kelowna, but we have our neighbors sort of kitty corner behind us. They had a large walnut tree, and one of the branches was hanging out over top of our rather lush cedar hedge and our pool. And I could see that at the base, the branch was broken. So, of course, we walked over and introduced ourselves to our new neighbors and asked them to kindly remove the tree branch, which they didn't do. They just said it was our problem, not theirs. So we just had our cedar guy cut the branch off, and so be it. I mean, at a certain point, you have to protect your property.
Yeah. You didn't make good friends with the neighbors, but
well, ultimately, they didn't care. Not so much that they didn't care. They didn't want to incur the cost of having to cut a branch that wasn't really their issue.
Right.
They were fine with us cutting the branch off. Mm-hmm. So having that conversation and being prepared to deal with it.
Right. It's all about being proactive too. So let's talk about that and talk about some of the key tips that we can do to prepare for winter. What are some of the things that we can do at home, like to prevent fires or leaks or burst pipes or all of that? Is there some kind of a checklist we should go through, or?
Well, I think one of the things we have to think about when we're talking about winter and we're talking about maybe the holiday season, and we're plugging in trees, we're plugging in Christmas lights, and one of the causes of fire losses that we see are overloaded extension cords, or extension cords that are sort of carelessly utilized. You have to remember, this is an extension of your electrical system. So all that power and current that's running through your house is going through this extension cord. So you just kind of to coil it up and then put a box on top of it. There's a lot of heat that's generating out of that. Mm-hmm. To max it out, and then to put it in another
power bar?
Yeah, another power bar onto that, and to overload that circuit. Common sense says that's not going to have a positive result at the end. So I think those are the things that we have to look at. And a lot of the stuff is common sense. Candles that are left unattended, they're very romantic and they're very nice.
Or having a window open when you're burning a candle.
Sure, and drapes. I mean, all this stuff again it's common sense. But it's not that common because it's easy to not think about it, right? Because we're thinking about convenience and getting those lights on and moving on to the next
you get
task and chore.
Distracted at the holidays too. You're probably entertaining and having people over and worried about cooking the turkey or whatever it may be.
That's right.
Yeah. When you're talking about electrical cords, is to replace them. If
Well-
they're old and worn, and if you've got electrical tape, and it's probably time to replace that one.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if this was common sense or not, but does an electrical cord actually have a lifespan on it, or a extension cord? Like,
I
are they
don't know the
good
answer.
indefinitely, or?
I
So-
think when it starts to show wear, I think is when you should consider replacing.
So the one I cut with the hedge trimmer that I put back together, I should
With
use that
electrical tape?
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
gosh. I got a house full of that stuff. No.
It
Well,
looks
do you know
like
what
the-
some of us do?
Yeah, it looks like the one I cut the lawn with.
What other kind of things? Like, what about the water situations or pipes, or is there anything specific?
Well, back to fire. We're talking about fires. Is cleaning your chimney. On a regular basis.
Excellent point.
Because if you're using it a lot, the creosote builds up. You need to make sure that it's properly looked after. And on top of that, if you haven't used it all year, there could have been a bird or a squirrel or something has built a nest in there, and you have no idea, and you're going to end up maybe not necessarily with a fire, but you're going to end up with a significant amount of smoke damage in your house.
Or a lot of angry bats coming down the other way. That could be another.
Well, bats
interesting
can
one.
be an issue. Bats, birds,
Well, yeah, and to that, and to speaking to that as well, go around your house, find openings, find little areas where rodents and squirrels and whatnot can get into.
Because 'tis the season, they are looking for warmer places.
Absolutely, and they seem to love to chew both pipes and electrical wires, which will cause a fire. I've seen more than one occasion where the remnants of a rodent is still in place after a fire.
What about fires from, like, kitchen fires?
Well, kitchen fires. So leaving stoves on unattended. The phone rings. It's busy. You're Christmas time. Everyone's busy. You got a lot on your mind, and you just accidentally forget to turn the gas stove off. It happened in my house actually not that long ago with my son, who we've just recently allowed to cook. And fortunately, we came home, I guess, about 15 minutes after he'd made himself a grilled cheese sandwich or whatever it was, and sure enough, the stove was still on, but very low.
And the pot's still on the stove.
Pot's still on the stove.
My wife's always giving me hell for that. So it doesn't have to be 15 to be a problem.
And of course, deep frying or that has its own inherent sets of risks. So if you are going to do that, know how to deal with it if a fire does happen. So
No water.
That's right, no water. We also
Fire extinguishers.
Chemical fire extinguishers.
And also think about the time you're doing. We seem to see a lot of deep fat fire claims happening around sort of 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And someone is sleeping on the couch and sort of forgot that they were making fries. So
And don't drop your turkey frozen into the deep fryer either.
yeah.
I actually have read about that online.
Isn't that the reason why we go out to restaurants to eat it, so that we can eat deep fried food? So
Exactly.
save it for the restaurant. Let the
Save it for
professionals
the
do
experts. Save it for the experts. So how is it best to approach a claim if you've had a winter-related issue? So where do you start? What do you start with?
Well, I always say that the first thing you want to do is prevent further damage. So take whatever steps, call whoever you need to, call your insurance broker to report the claim, or call your insurance company to report the claim. And often they will have people on standby to help you. In the case of Intact, we have insurance people right away to talk to you about your claim.
So do you take the pictures first, or do you phone the insurance company first?
Phone first. The most important thing is to stop further damage from occurring.
Okay.
Problem is most people don't. When they deal with a broker, they associate with the brokerage, so they don't necessarily even know we try and make their customers aware, but a lot of times they aren't even aware what company they're dealing with. So if in the event that it is something fairly cataclysmic, make sure you mitigate that. So if there's water leaking, or get a plumber in, you pay the plumber, and that'll be reimbursed. Even call a restoration company, and if it's the middle of the night, just to try and mitigate it, because mold is a huge issue, and hot water claims, mold starts within 24 hours, so you need to make sure that something's happening. So if it happens on a Saturday night, you may not be able to get hold of somebody till the following Monday morning. You've already got potential mold issues.
But it really underlines the importance of knowing where your main water shutoff is.
Absolutely.
So turn that water off, then call, then take a few
then
pictures
call.
if you need to.
And then call. So a quick chat about unexpected events like the flash flooding that recently happened in the Pemberton area? Can we just touch base on maybe a weather-related claim?
Well, that's unfortunately flash flooding at this point in time is not covered, right? For commercial businesses are, but residentially it's not.
So is that like an act of God, or?
Well, there is no such thing as an act of God exclusion. That's a big myth in insurance.
It is. Okay. Well, I've heard it in reference in conversation before, and it's
one of the myths we'll debunk in next month's episode. But certainly there is no such thing as an act of God, or else forest fires and hailstorms and windstorms and all those things would never be covered. But flood is a bit of a different issue, and overland water, and that might be changing a little bit within the insurance landscape, but at this point, those kinds of events aren't covered.
Okay. So what about if you're entertaining, you're planning a party, somebody comes over and they slip in your driveway on your way in their front door?
Well, that's a liability claim. That's one of the most overlooked parts of your property policy. And so especially if you're maybe a tenant or something like that, and you think, well, I don't really have contents that are worth insuring. But every property policy you buy has a liability component to it. So that liability component is two parts. It is your personal liability, which means that maybe you're skiing and you run into somebody and you break their leg, and you may be responsible for that damage. And there's your premises liability. So if the mailman, for the short period of time the mail is being delivered, but if the paper boy is coming to your house and slips and falls on ice on your driveway or your sidewalk that you haven't cleared, you're responsible for that. So your policy will include typically it's $1 million or maybe $2 million of liability coverage to protect you from the legal costs and the damages that would result of that.
Mm-hmm. And I know at some point today we'll be discussing what we should do if we're snowbirds and we leave our homes for the winter. But hold on to your thoughts right now. Our goal with this show is to prove to you that it is worth your time to listen to the information that we bring forward. It's information that if the need arises, you will be thankful that you actually took this time. Patrick, Keith, and Andrew, this is what Intact is all about, basically. You're listening to Experts on Call on CIL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, and we're going to continue this conversation in a moment. But if you ever have any questions, you can always go to the webpage, intact.ca. Coming up next, we'll get into winter weather and winter driving tips. It's coming up next on Experts on Call on CIL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CIL 650.